Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is your host Vaibhav in today's session of correlation and regression. As usual, we will be looking into the price action to get some markers which can help us in defining the momentum as well as the strength of the momentum for the instruments of our choice. Mainly, we will be concerned with the dollar denominated currencies where dollar plays a major role. So we will be comparing the currency crosses like Euro USD, AUD USD, GBP USD, NZD USD, USD CHF, USD CAD, and of course not to forget the USD JPY, which are the major currencies traded in the forex market to draw the inference which can help us in getting the confirmation, or you can say multiple confirmations for the trend and then the relative strength and weaknesses of these respective currencies. We will also be considering the equity markets, mainly the US equity indices, as the US session is going to get underway in half an hour. We will be also looking into the developments therein in the future segment to look for the possible clues. And of course, while doing that, we will also consider the price action data so far for the European trading session. So let us now head to the JForex for the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the chart of the Euro USD drawn on the 5-minute candlestick time period, and I have added the range for last 4 hours. This is the Donchian channel with the calculation period at 48, and since each candle period is defined at 5 minutes, that means 48 multiplied by 5, we arrive at 240 minutes, that is 4 hours. So we have the price range of 4 hours, and then this Donchian channel 24 represents the 2-hour range. Along with that, to get the immediate ID, price action data to make sense, we are also looking at the average price over last 1 hour and 2 hours respectively. So these are SMA with the calculation period of 12, and this one is at 24. Now, if we look at the Euro USD chart, of course, you can plainly say that this is the momentum with the bullish under, underlying trend being on the buy side. So if you are looking for any trade, you will have to, of course, keep looking for the buy side opportunities. But we also have to consider the actual price where it is trading at the moment, and what has been its average price over last 12 to 24 hours. So we have seen already significant deviation. After many failed attempts, it seems to have managed to cross above 1.05 this time around. It is now consolidating, hovering closer to this significant price level, which has kept the Euro USD's upward move in check for last couple of days. And yesterday's press conference by Mr. Powell was a crucial catalyst for this upward momentum which we are seeing in all these currencies, which are moving higher and higher in today's session against the dollar. So since this is the aftermath of Mr. Powell's statement that the Fed is likely to now go bit slower in its monetary policy tightening, and that is a significant development. If we remember the prior stance of the Fed, which has tightened its monetary policy quite considerably in light of the high inflation prevalent in the United States. So this change, this turnaround in the policy stance is actually, of course, critical, and that is what being reflected in these sharp move for the Euro USD, which propelled the Euro USD almost 200 pips higher from these yesterday's low. Now, here it is very difficult to look for the short selling opportunities, but it is also equally difficult to look for new trades at these levels. So what we can do is we will have to trade carefully here, as we have already seen significant move. Maybe if you were to go for any long trade earlier in the day after this correction and consolidation, that would have been a good idea. But if you want to look for the new trades around the current levels, I think it is better to adopt a scalping approach instead of going for a new buy trade. Yes, Janice, the inflation forecast came in at 0. 0.2, and after that release, we have seen some upward momentum also in these currencies, which are again getting stronger and stronger against the dollar. Now, if we have to go for a new trade here on these levels, I think it is better to adopt a scalping approach. And for that, we will have to look for the currency crosses which have the relative strength on the opposite side. So if we consider the all these currencies here, we have the GBP USD, which has continued to strengthen throughout the day. And if we look at the magnitude of this rise, then let's consider its low for the day, which happened somewhere around 1.194, and from there on it has gained almost 300 pips. So in terms of the timing as well as in terms of the relative strength, in terms of magnitude of rise, the GBP USD is leading all other currencies against the dollar, and of course it is a lot ahead of the euro USD has also gained significantly in today's session, but in relative terms the rise in GBP USD is a lot more. So for the continuation of the trend, if you are willing to take the risk, and if you want to simply keep going with the momentum, then I think GBP USD is of course better placed compared to the Euro USD for any trade to be taken with the trend. For buy trade, the GBP USD is in lead compared to the Euro USD. So we have to keep that in mind whenever we have to think we have to short the dollar and go long. So for that, the GBP USD should be the first choice. But that sentiment is not really shared by the AUD. AUD is rather going sideways. It is trading in a very narrow range, and if we look at its current move and the range has also remained narrow at around 30-35 pips. And if we go back in time earlier in the day and look at its magnitude of rise, there is also a bit less. Still, for the average true range for the AUD USD is of course tends to be a lot lower than the GBP. So keeping that in mind, the AUD's rise is not that insignificant, but still in relative terms, since it has still failed to cross above this prior swing high, and if we look at this consolidation which has pushed the AUD/USD sideways, rather upward or on the downward spiral, we have to we have to think about, or I think twice before entering into any long trade in the AUD. So in the scenario where we feel that the sentiments are likely to turn the corner, and maybe these currencies, major currencies which have gained significantly since yesterday's pronouncement by Mr. Powell, we will be in position to profit more if we keep looking for short selling opportunities in AUD USD instead of going long in it. And for that we will have to of course wait for some more time here, and if in next couple of hours it doesn't really cross above this prior swing high, so in that scenario we can of course think about shorting it closer to the day's highs, while looking to play within the range with not much of a chance of a significant breakout on the either side. So this is the AUD, which is even behind the euro in terms of the strength of the momentum on the bullish side. We have the lead with the GBP, and now let's consider the NZD USD and what's happening there. And in comparison with its Pacific peer, the NZD is, of course, gaining a lot of ground. It appears to be on the stronger footing even compared to the Euro USD. So I think it is more in line with the price trajectory of the GBP USD. GBP USD has shown similar trajectory for today's session. Let's consider the GBP USD's pricing mechanism in larger time frame, and it is also significantly higher compared to its 24-hour average price or even 12-hour average price. So that deviation has happened, but still the momentum remains strong, and similar thing can also be observed, but it is not that significantly higher compared to the 12 hour. So we have to put that in context. And the GBP and USD has still more, I think, bullish momentum compared to the NZD/USD. And for the buy trade, the first preference still has to be with the GBP/USD. And as I said, if we have to look for possibilities where we are expecting a turnaround, in that case, we have the lead with the AUD on the opposite side. Let's consider what's the development for the USD CAD. The USD CAD is also more in line with the price dynamic of AUD. It is even weaker than the AUD, as CAD has actually lost ground against the dollar after this prolonged consolidation. With this jump in yesterday's session, we saw the CAD gaining almost 150 to 170 pips, 150 pips, and after that it has gone sideways with this change in sentiments, where it has also gone to make this high swing high at 1.345. From there on, it has again jumped on the lower side, but it will be interesting to see how things shape up for the USD CAD. And if we don't really see any significant break on the lower side, and if further correction happens, but it is contained closer to this immediate swing low, in that scenario, we can think about going for a scalping trade if even after a couple of hours of consolidation, the USD CAD doesn't really break below this immediate swing low, which is there around 1.3394. But before we confirm our choice, we have to also take a look on other currency crosses like USDCHF and USDJPY. The USDJPY is not far off from the day's low, but it is also showing the signs of some consolidation, ongoing consolidation. It is not exactly bearish at the moment. So here, these are the currencies: the USD CAD, USD JPY, and AUD USD, which are showing the signs of fatigue after this one-way move. And I think these are the currencies which can give you the opportunities to look for scalping trades. We can't really expect any big move in these currencies, but given the fact that there has been extended consolidation closer to these extreme price points, I feel we can take our chances. And for that, of course, a couple of hours of consolidation is going to be helpful, and then some sort of reversal, or at least towards the convergence of price action with these average price of last 24-hour and 12-hour can't really be ruled out. So that is something which we can try to exploit after this significant deviation has already unfolded, and this price action is suggestive of things going sideways for most of these currency crosses, apart from the NZD/USD, GBP/USD, and EURUSD, in which the momentum is quite strong. So it is better to avoid going against the trend there. But here, these USDJPY, USD CAD, and the AUD USD are looking like these are the currencies which we can target. Now let's consider the development in the equity segment. For the equity segment, the bullish jump in yesterday's session is followed up with this consolidation, sideways consolidation, and in today's session, after this shallow correction, which took the Dow Jones Industrial Average closer to 34,400, is now again giving way to a fresh rally on the higher side. As of now, the momentum has been quite timid, but after the start of the North American session, which is going to happen in 15 minutes, we will have to brace ourselves for much swifter moves, much sharper moves. So that's where we have to start looking for the opportunities. And here, if we have to trade in today's session, the momentum is still bullish on the larger time frame. But for any entry and for any optimization, we still have to keep these immediate swing lows in mind. So as long as the level of 34,000 is holding in today's session, which is almost 2 percentage point away from the current levels, we can go for swing trades with the hope of the continuation of this bullish momentum. So that is something which we can try to exploit, but it is very difficult to go for the trade straight away, because now if things simply go sideways and if there is no significant move on the higher side, in that scenario we might end up losing some money. So it was a better idea if you were to go long earlier in the day after this correction and consolidation, but right now it is a difficult position to get involved into the market, but we do have to understand which one is having the strongest momentum on which side, and then as and when optimum opportunities will arise, we can think about taking the trade in that direction. So here, if we have to compare these three key equity indices for the United States, we have almost a similar trajectory. It is simply the difference with magnitude of the rise and maybe some time difference. So if we consider this 4 hourly high formation which happened at 14:35 GMT and compare it to the high formation of other two equity indices, for S&P 500 it happened at the same time. Let's consider Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is also showing the similar timeline, so there is not much of a difference on that front. Now let's compare the low. It is 1140 for S&P 500. It is the same for Nasdaq. Oh, it is also the same. So it is a difficult, confusing job for us, or you can say that since almost the price difference and the timing difference is negligible, you can be sure, or you can be quite confident of the almost similar trajectory for these three key equity indices. And for additional confirming factor about which particular instrument to trade with, there are not many deviations difference in this charting pattern. Both of the sorry, all three of the instruments are trading above this 12-hour moving average price and fairly close to the day's high. So here let's consider what's the high high price formation point. Maybe there we will get some lead, and that seems to be in favor of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So you can, for just sake of having some clarity, you can take the lead with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. But as I said, there is not much of an difference in the pricing dynamic for all these three equity indices. So more or less, we can expect this trajectory to hold in coming session as well. Let's consider the development for the European equity session and how things shaped up there. After the strong rally which we saw in yesterday's session, the FTSE 100 gave up some of those gains, almost 1 percentage point, and it seems to be settling lower with these immediate swing low still intact. So that is something to keep in mind, and here scalping kind of trades can be taken as long as there is no significant price move below this immediate low of 77,564. But for a long trade, the preference should be given to the US equity indices, where things are looking a lot more bullish compared to the GBP, Britain's equity index, the FTSE 100, which is on the weaker footing. So here it is better to avoid it rather than trying to initiate a new buy trade here. It will be a better idea to keep targeting the US equity indices. Let's consider the case for DAX. Now for the DAX, the things are seemingly on the brighter side after this sharp decline earlier in the day of almost 200 points. We have seen the DAX climbing back and recovering almost all of the losses. Not all the losses, but still it has gained some of the lost ground, and it is closer to the swing high compared to the low. So that is something to keep in mind. And for European equity segment, the lead for the bullish sentiment is with the DAX, but it is lagging in comparison to the US equity indices. So for any buy trade, the first preference I think has to be with the US equity indices, and then for shorting, maybe we can think about the FTSE 100 if we see it climbing to levels closer to 7,600, and if it doesn't really cross above those levels after a consolidation of couple of hours, we can think about shorting it while expecting it to at least retest this immediate swing low of 7,464, or even a decline further below can also be anticipated. So that's my take looking at the current price formation of these equity indices. Guys, if you have any query or any idea to share, please write back to me in the feedback section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. So that's all from my side for today's session. I will be back tomorrow with the fresh assessment depending on what kind of price dynamic we have prevalent at that point in time. We will be trying to make sense of the market developments to figure out the opportunities and the instruments in which we can be fairly confident of exploiting those opportunities. So thank you all for joining in. I'll be back tomorrow. See you tomorrow, guys. Goodbye.